it was just defense. Coach stressed playing better defense in the second half. We picked it up towards the end of the first half. That's the style of basketball we played. Kind of got to a slow start today, but we sustained it. We made a run at the end of the first half, and then we closed it out in the second half right from the beginning.
Guys, Lavin, Chris, gets ejected. It's the second tech. You guys are only at 3. You went on something like 32-8 run after that. Did that wake you up?
Well, I thought it was for these guys first.
Yeah.
It sounded like, yes, it's for you guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. Little things like that. We try not to let happen, but we got over it. We'll talk to Chris, and we just pulled out a win. That's all that matters.
Do you think that what you have here in that group that played without Chris, is that going to be like an instrument that you think you guys could use during the season?
Yeah, because when Theo was out, we went to our press, and then we caused a little bit of trouble for them. They think they threw some out of bounds and turned some over. We were really small, so we turn up the heat on defense, and we got some stops out of that too.
Is this the best game you've seen Rasheed play?
Well, no. He's had a lot of good games, but today he was really at it today and really focused. So.
What about you?
Yeah, just one of them. He's capable of this every game. With his jump shot getting way better, it's going to be really tough to guard him. And you're going to have to start doubling him or helping off other people from him. And me, Phil, JB, able to make shots. So it's going to be tough to play us. She's on this.
I had a question kind of off the game, but for both you guys, are either of you guys Knicks or Nets fans, and do you kind of feel like you're bringing a positive light to the city with your record, given how the pro teams are doing?
No, not really. I have a couple of favorite players that I like to watch, but I feel like we're doing a good job of representing New York really well.
Same. We're doing a good job.
Anything else for the players?
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Obviously you want to have Chris there. Do you like that? That lineup you guys have, basically, Sir Dom is a forward, but he's kind of a guard too. And you basically have 5 guard wing type players.
Our job is just to play. Coach, puts the players on the court, and our job is to, compete at the highest level. And Coach put Dom at the 5 today, and we went on a run. So I don't think we're gonna be able to do this every game, but we might be able to. And like I said, our job is just to compete every position.
Yeah, we got a couple good players that can play. Like Coach says, likes to throw a couple curveballs and sliders. So we just got to be ready and play like we did today.
We're disappointed with our lack of composure and poise. And as a result, we found ourselves in early foul trouble in Dom Pointer's case, and without Chris Obekpa because of the technical fouls. And while we learn from situations like this, the positive was the group that was available found a way to win a game in dominating fashion. So I was pleased with the response of our team to the disappointment of losing Chris Obekpa and having Dom Pointer, on the bench with foul trouble. So I thought those were the positives that we could pull out of today's game. And moving forward, we have to show more maturity and poise and sportsmanship than better poise, maturity, and sportsmanship than we did today. So we'll learn from this. Cooler heads must prevail when playing, in a competitive situation like we had today against Fordham.
Questions, please?
Steve, you've always said that you've had teams that get better in January and February as the season goes on. In 5 years, do you feel that this group is maybe a little further ahead than some of the others you've coached?
I just think this group, it's been a kind of steady, kind of an undeniable, steady measurable progress from 13 games as freshmen, 17 as sophomores, 20 as juniors, now 8-1 in the top 25 as seniors. It's so clear with the empirical evidence that it's a group that has matured and developed their game, both individually and collectively, over the course of their career. We clearly have work to do. There are a number of facets of the game we have to improve upon. Today, our lack of, poise and maturity was on display in the first half, but I thought our team responded well, which shows they're capable of a mature effort, which we had down the stretch from our upperclassmen, and I thought Rashid Jordan was lights out, playing as he's capable of at both ends of the floor.
Right here, Coach.
Steve, this has always been a pro town, but when a college team does well, the city gets behind it. What is it going to take to stoke the passions of the city for a college team?
I think New York loves basketball, whether it's professional, college, or high school. And New Yorkers have a keen appreciation for good basketball. If you hustle, if you're tied together defensively, they will applaud you. If you move well without the ball, you play a cohesive, well-knit style on offense, whether it's give and go or pick and roll, they'll get out of their seats and cheer for you. At the same time, if you don't hustle, if you're not tied together defensively, or you don't share the ball and play the game in the proper manner offensively, they'll boo you. And that's the great part. You get immediate feedback, like a report card, because New York fans have had the luxury of seeing really good basketball over the years. Whether you go way back to the Claire B's and Nat Holman's, the Lapchecks, the Karnasekas, the McGuires, through Pat Riley. And so, these New York fans appreciate good basketball.
Steve, this lineup that you used after Obekba was ejected, where Pointer was the biggest guy on the floor, do you think that maybe you've discovered like a club in your bag that you're going to be able to use well?
Well, we've used that group both last year, in the comeback against Providence, down 17. Combinations. When we've been in foul trouble, we've gone to smaller, quicker units, and this, pretty much the whole time I've been here, we've done that. Played small. We've had, the ability to go big as well with the Sean Evans and Justin Burrell and Deli Coker in that group, but we often played with Brownlee as the 5, Hardy as the 4, and then 3 on the perimeter. I'm sorry, Brownlee as the 5, DJ Kennedy is the 4, and then any combinations of the 3 smalls in the perimeter. So we'll continue to explore our smaller pressing units where we can play baseline to baseline, attacking up tempo style, and try and wear opponents down over the course of the game. But it's nice to also have the luxury to go big, because in our league you have to be able to match up in certain stretches of a game, or even for an entire game, with some of the big bruising front lines of the Big East.
Right here, Coach.
With the start, have you noticed a different enthusiasm than in different years from the fan base, whether that be on campus or here today in the arena?
Not yet, but I think it's the holidays. And I remember my 7 years in ESPN taught me that other than the rabid fan bases in Lawrence, Kansas, or West Lafayette, Indiana, Wichita or Creighton, most people are focused on college football, the beginning of pro basketball, shopping, the holidays, their families, and then early January is when people, really start to turn their attention to college basketball. And even from a programming standpoint, that's when, the networks start to feature and spotlight college. So I think our fans are like most fans in the country, other than, the Kentucky Wildcats, obviously. This is a pro, like LA, this is a, pro town, entertainment center of the world, or one of the entertainment centers of the world. So we understand there's kind of a gradual build to January and conference play, and then ultimately the postseason, when St. John fans really start to turn out and support the team.
Right here, Coach.
Can you just expand a little bit on what you like about Rashid's game today?
Poise. We talked about the lack of poise in terms of, in the heat of competition. Chris losing his cool and picking up the technicals, and Dom as well. Needs to, channel that emotional fuel in a more productive manner for us. But I thought Rashid played with poise, the right pace, made good choices, some precise passing, had his feet under him, other than the one turnover where he jumped in the air and threw a pass that got intercepted. Someone was laying on that passing lane. But other than that, he played a near perfect game. I thought Jamal Branch's 7 assists, no turnovers, solid ratio as well in terms of spraying the ball around the court, distributing the ball to his teammates, and keeping us organized, orchestrating things out there from the point guard spot. But Rashid was outstanding. I also liked Rashid's ball pressure, ball hawker. He's a real ball hawker. He's got the wingspan and the foot speed and the strength. It's a wiry strength to really dominate and pressure defenders. You can discombobulate and kind of unnerve or rattle opposing teams by picking up, in the full court, even in the half court, and defensively harassing opponents.
Okay, last question right here, Coach.
Steve, when you moved Rashid to the bench, was this? Do you like the effect it's had on him? The last game he was kind of did things simpler than today. He obviously exploded, had a big performance.
Yeah, he's just, as a coach, you just try and, read your team and try and put them in the best possible position for their individual and collective growth, both day to day in practice and game to game in terms of competition, and even year to year in terms of their career arc or span at a respective school like this. So, I really like the way he's playing, but it wasn't as though he ever was in a place where, I wasn't aware of his ability. It's just you try and keep teaching, keep coaching. John Wooden always impressed upon me the importance of patience, probably the greatest virtue that you can have, right? And maybe empathy and compassion right up there with patience. And so, as a teacher, as a coach, it's what I try and do is, hold them accountable to their potential, hold the fire under their fanny when necessary, give them a dose of tough love, but also demonstrate patience, because they're young people. 18 to 22-year-olds are not going to have a straight, ascent up the mountain. There's going to be some dips and valleys, and you just got to stay with them and keep coaching them, keep teaching them, keep encouraging them, and then there'll be breakthroughs like we saw today for the team as a group in that pressing, that sequence of pressing, or for an individual like Jamal Branch or clearly Rashid Jordan. His abilities were on display, and I thought he played really well. But strategically, in terms of the starting lineups, it's really just more trying to help him get better.
Do you like him off the bench? Will you keep him in that role, Steve?
I'm not sure, because as you know, it's more, I try not to premeditate or predetermine, but just kind of look at matchups, look at where our team is, how the group is playing, are we winning, are we having success? And there's no progress without change, but sometimes change for the sake of change is not the answer either. So there's this balance you try and strike, trusting your instincts, your training, your expertise, your background, and stay open. And to what are the solutions? What are the best ways to coach an individual like Rashid or position our team, in this case at St. John's, to be successful? So I don't know, because I really go practice to practice, possession to possession, half to half, game to game, and kind of look at the season in different building stages or building blocks as we try and hopefully position ourselves for our best basketball in March. So that's the plan. Easier said than done. But I like where the group is right now. Not only Rashid individually, but the whole group. We have to clean up the poise, the lack of composure, the lack of sportsmanship on display. It was unacceptable and not at the standards of St. John's. And as a head coach, something I'm very disappointed in. Yet I'm glad the team was able to respond, navigate through it, because now that's a reference point for us and can make us stronger as we move forward.